Good morning, everyone. Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I want to tell you something about Rocket Internet and about political campaigning. I'm a little bit decided if I want to talk more about Rocket because I know everything about Rocket. I'm more interested in campaigning, but I think a good starting point is to tell you something about Rocket you might not know already. Most of you might know that there are the Zamra brothers. They are somehow critical, the press says. You can read today in Manager magazine, I just tweeted, the Manager magazine will start to understand Rocket when they rename their brand to Entrepreneurial magazine, because the German understanding of business is manager business. We are real entrepreneurs, and that's something I just want to show on the first slide. If I can press. Here. Our mission as Rocket Internet is to become the world's largest internet platform outside the United States and China. You might ask now, it's out of control. Help me. Okay. Yeah. Why outside US and China? You have to take into consideration that we are in the startup business. Yeah, we own around about 200 startups, and so it's about real risk taking. And 85% approximately of all venture capital in the world is invested in the United States and China. And the logic behind it from the Wall Street and the investment bankers is that these are the two core markets you have to be in. Yeah, it's the mainstream right now, and I think innovation is something the mainstream does not like. And you just saw this Facebook map of the world, and you could see that the northern part of the world, you have every dot and every square centimeter, but we believe the world will be the global village, and so the southern part of the world will be connected in the same way. So you have to think ahead if you want to be successful, and I think it's very similar if you do politics. You have to adapt ideas somehow earlier than the competitor. And we say the rest of the world is not the rest of the world. It might be that United States and China are very important, but Sydney, Paris, Berlin, Rio de Janeiro are not rest of the world, it's most of the world. And that's what we are mostly concerned about. We want to build a truly global network of success stories. Just takes 10 seconds or so to change the slide. And we are building companies really on a global scale. That might be different to running political campaigns, because there you have to concentrate on topics in a nation, in a region, whatever. We think more on a global scale. And so we are active in 118 countries. And at the same time, you can find out that the internet goes much deeper into daily life than we have thought maybe a couple of years ago. It's not only about being eBay or being later Amazon or ordering a pizza online. You can now see what happens with whole societies and economies that we now talk about, Industry 4.0 and so on. The internet is everywhere, and even the politicians have to think about how to interact, how to create a culture of dialogue with your voters. And so that's something very interesting, I would say. And to give you our idea of our business in just one slide, in a nutshell, is we want to be the home screen of the world. Of course, everyone is allowed to use several apps and not ours. And even here in Germany, it would be difficult to download most of these apps, because most of these apps are available in emerging markets. So we are very focused on countries like Indonesia. It's the fourth largest country in the world, but there is nearly no competition in the internet scene. It's around about 750 million people, or Nigeria, now 120 million people. In half a century, it will be over 1 billion. So we are sitting here in Western Europe and think we are the melting point of the world. We aren't. And that's something politics has to adapt as well. We have to stand together as Europe, I think, because otherwise we will be totally unimportant. But now about the communications part at Rocket. Now I told you, that's Rocket Internet. We do really business models from financial technology, e-commerce, dating, whatever. In Germany, most known is our former company Zalando. But now being a communicator for such a data-driven, technology, engineering-focused company, what does this mean? I think it's very similar to run a political campaign finally, because you have to convince people to buy your products or to use your platform, whatever. You have to build up communities. And that's what we just heard from Philip. It's about community where people engage, stand together, and we try this now with our agency RCKT in German. It's similar to Rocket, you might find out. And what do? We do the ABC of communications. That means we are concentrating on agenda for the A, classical PR, issue management, corporate communications, crisis communications, and so on. We do B for brand, because in the corner or in the center of every campaign needs to be a clear message board, a clear brand. It's for a company like for a politician. And C is for content. That means the ongoing engagement with your community is fostered via good content and social media, on your website, in a TV talk, wherever. And I just asked my close friend Jens Spahn, a German politician and very powerful, more and more, what his main hint would be for this round we are sitting here together at the campaign summit. And he told me, yeah, the digital stuff is important, but never forget the personal engagement in real life. And I would support this idea, because it's the same what we are doing. We are very digital because we are digital natives somehow. We are born out of the startup scene, but to build a community only via digital channel is not enough. You have to engage in real life. If you are, for example, delivery hero, you have to think about, of course, banner and social media channel, but you have to think about door hanger as well to gain market share. So, and I think that's the same in the political sphere. Here you can see we're working, of course, for a lot of clients. Most of the companies you might not know because they are startups. And if you stand here later, like Ben & Jerry's, everyone loves Ben & Jerry. But that's the goal for all of our clients or for all of our companies, of our 200 startups, to build a brand, to build a message board people know, people love, and people are willing to engage. And of course, as a politician, that might be your goal too, but of course it's much more difficult because you have to talk about topics you often do not like or where you have to win nothing. If you are a brand, of course you can concentrate on your key USP or the topics you want to put together with your brand. But of course, if you are Chancellor of Germany, you have to talk about everything, and that is very different, I would say. Our goal is to build lifelong user relationship. So I would say, finally, all communication guys are in a social business, because our main asset has to be a good storyteller, to convince yourself and to convince others that your messages, your colorful pictures you are painting, that they are worth to put money into to scale them. And of course, the technology today gives us, as the young generation, for the first time in history, the chance to do better than the older guys with all the money and the deep pockets. Because if we would do this with the older crowds, of course, they have much higher, much bigger budgets, but finally, they will lose because they are not so convinced about the technology. And we know that the internet has already changed the world, and it will go on to change the world. And a campaign without the internet has no chance anymore. I'm truly convinced. And so, of course, as a company, we want to make profit. That's why we adapt very early. And we are doing a lot of stuff with Google AdWords, with Facebook, and so on, because you have to be there where the crowd already is. And how we are doing it, of course, the consumer, in brackets, the voter, is always in the middle of our thinking. It's not about us, about making profit. It's about the promise you give to society or to your customers. And you need digital stuff and especially good content, because the one brilliant idea might be brilliant, but an idea without ongoing execution is nothing. And that's the same for Rocket. We adapt business models which are already out there, and you might call us, as the press does, copy kings and so on. But finally, I'm convinced that we live in a free society with a market economy, and the fundament of a market economy is competition. And that's why you should be happy to have Me Too's like rocket companies. And of course, then you need the brand, and you need to distribute ongoingly, continuously good content. And finally, you hopefully have high involvement. And of course, it's then more than just storytelling, then it's about engagement with the community. And finally, of course, there are new channels. It might now be Snapchat, or it was Pinterest, and it's still Facebook, whatever, it doesn't matter. We all try out new stuff, so the channels might change, but you have to be open to new channels. You can't say, okay, now it's about Alta Vista. No one knows anymore what Alta Vista was. Today it's about Google. Today might it be about Facebook. Maybe in 10 years it's about V-contacts from Russia. No one knows, yeah? Hopefully not, but no one knows. But the interest for topics, for discussion will always stay. It's the same for journalism, of course, it's in a deep crisis, but finally, people will always be interested in other people. So, to put it together, I would say there are a lot of similarities between doing a political campaign and doing a campaign for a new product or a new startup. But finally, the core of what we are doing, I believe, was the same 1,000 years ago. It's about trust. It's about good storytelling. It's about being a good guy, good lady, whatever. And if you have this in the middle of your thinking, then you will succeed. And so I wish you all the best for your young careers, because I see mostly young faces. The future is your best ally because you are young, and put your dreams deep into your heart and don't forget them until you are able to bring them into action. Thanks.